Welcome back. We are continuing with He Was Human by author Red Riviera. Chapter 8.
Elzer stood up as the alarms blared.
Everyone, you know the procedure. Make your way to residential quarters immediately.
She shouted through the communal hall. Several people were on the floor, but her orders were understood. The people who had been using the communal room for recreation were now scrambling for safety. Elzer ran to, making sure to direct these people to safety before heading to the nearest armor. His duty as a guard was to defend this ship and to protect the residents. Cargo was secondary. It may be a loss, but reputation was everything for a Galaxy-class cargo ship. Having members of the crew die for profit's sake sullied it irreparably. Especially since insurance for such incidents existed in the case pirates seized the ship's cargo. Pirates usually only wanted the ship's cargo. Residential areas were typically left alone. That is, if these were typical pirates. Biosynths from the former Orkan Empire had turned to piracy after fleeing the former Orkan-held space. They attacked with the ruthlessness they were designed for. It was then Elzer noticed the heavy breathing beside her and turned to see it. James was running next to her, matching her pace. The heavy breathing was his. Deep heavy breaths, meaning strong powerful lungs. It took Elzer a while to notice he carrying someone. The Zelange from before. He was bleeding from his head, blue blood oozing from his forehead. James was keeping pace with her, a Raxum, while carrying a Zelange who was known for a dense bone structure. This made them heavy compared to most sapiens.
Are you okay, carrying the extra weight?
She asked. It wasn't a rude question given the circumstances. If he needed help he should say so.
I'm fine.
James retorted.
Though our friend here would do well to get a gym membership.
Elzer had no idea what this gym was, but James seemed to think it was funny. Enjoying his strange humor in this situation. Elzer couldn't help but smile at what she thought could only be immense fear or stupidity as they reached the residential area.
Elzer.
A familiar voice rang across the area.
Third Villa.
Elzer responded to the voice, slightly relieved there was a ship medic there.
We have a wounded man here, he needs help.
The medic ran over quickly as James laid the Zelange down on the floor, blood pouring out his head. Third Villa checked the man over.
He's going to be fine, but just barely. I have to stop the bleeding now or he's going to die.
Third Villa took the coagulant spray out of her med pack and sprayed it on the Zelange's forehead. The bleeding stopped quickly after. As she looked for James to let him know, he dropped a box next to her. She had seen it in his crew quarters during her mating cycle. When she asked what was in it, she said an old friend. Not that she knew how something a metal box could be a friend to anyone. She didn't even realize he'd left to fetch it.
The Zelange's going to fine.
She said after a moment.
I'm going to go join the other Raxxum.
James interrupted her.
You should stay here and guard the residential area.
He said.
If you die right now, it's 2 people dead.
He said, looking at her eyes, with more worry in them than anything. It wasn't uncommon for sapiens to feel the need to guard their mate, especially when with child. Raxxum males were known to be extremely possessive in that instance.
3 lives.
Elzer answered back. She had never got the chance to ask before this had happened. James's face lit up for a moment with a smile.
Twins.
He said.
Should have known.
As Elzer was about to ask what that word meant, James opened a box. Her ear and tail stood up in shock. A plasma rifle, unlike any she'd ever seen. At least 4 clips of ammunition were in the box with it, and it was massive. Massive to point she didn't think she could use it properly. It would be too heavy to aim. James picked it, loaded it.
I'm heading to engineering to get Roswell. You should stay here where it's safe.
He said, brandishing the rifle. It was obvious he had experience using it. But he wanted to save Roswell. What obligation did he have to do that? They were friends, but in this situation, he's risking his life. He must be insane. No sapient would willingly die for a friend. Not unless they were mates.
I'm going to.
Elzer declared to James.
It's admirable you want to aid in the evacuation of engineering, but I'm a guard of this ship. I have my duty, and if you want to come and assist me, that's fine.
Elzer said. She didn't know why she was entertaining James's insanity, but the ship was shaking from bombardment. Most of the other crewmen had recovered their own private firearms. A common practice on Galaxy-class cargo ships. Though James was the most impressive of them. He looked at her, then touched a symbol on the rifle, then looked at her again.
Lead the way, Miss Guard.
James finally said.
May I recommend we go to the army first?
End of chapter. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and visit the author, and I'll see you next time. If you didn't, comment on what I can do better. And as usual, have a wonderful day.